Welcome back. We are here modeling some Kumiko, and this is our third class on Kumiko modeling, and we're going to be doing yet another of our modern Kumiko patterns. I'm going to switch over and model in millimeters because Kumiko is traditionally done in either Japanese traditional measurement, shaku and so forth, or in millimeters because Japan is a metric country. We're going to model on the top face here, and we will start by making a frame. I must admit, this is the second time I am doing this today because the stream cut out and everything crashed on my computer partway through, and rather than pick up where I left off, I just want to start clean and model the whole thing for you from scratch. So I'm going to create a single dividing line through the middle. I will give that a dimension. It is going to be 2 millimeters across. And I'm going to zoom in. I will mirror that dividing line. I will mirror the correct dividing line across one of these diagonals, and that will give us our center there. I am going to model again from the center point of one of these sides, and we are going to make that coincident with the outside and coincident with the top outside. We will make the center point actually in the center, not the center of the panel. We will make it actually in the center, so we will start by drawing a guideline across the center. See if I can actually hit the center here. Good. I will click on it and hit guideline by pressing X. I will now take that center point and I will make it coincident with the center line. And that means the whole thing will go across quite nicely. I will give that a dimension as well, and I will copy the dimension of the previous one wherever it went. Where did I put that? 2 millimeters? Sure, it's around here somewhere. Yes, 2 millimeters. Click. And that is good. So I will now take that box. Where's the box gone? Zoom in, double click on the box, and I will mirror that to the other side. Select mirror line, diagonal, and I will do the same thing. Repeat, double click on the sides of both boxes, and I will mirror them across the other diagonal, and now I have all the outsides. The only thing that I will do now is I'm going to pick the inside dimension, and it will be 75 millimeters. I will finish the sketch, select all the pieces, and I'm going to make this 7 millimeters thick. Remember, in Kumiko, there are no standard measurements. They are just the measurements that you personally prefer. So I'm going to model on this top face, and we are only going to do one square. I will draw the guidelines from corner to corner. In both cases, this is going to be a square pattern, and I am going to draw center dividing guidelines as well, just to make this a bit easier to model. So the first thing that I am going to do is I am going to draw a couple of curves. I will draw one curve, and then another curve above it. Now I want to make sure that those curves are exactly in the center. So I'm going to say that is coincident with this center line. I don't think that's going to be going anywhere. That's okay. All right, so we will say D for dimension, and I am going to give that an internal measurement of 75. And this outside one here, I'm going to give an internal measurement of, it seems already to be okay. Oh yes, it has made it tangent. I don't want it to be tangent. I want to give this a measurement of 40. And that will give us a nice curve in here in our piece. Now I'm going to draw one more guideline. I'm going to draw it out to this corner, and I'm going to draw two lines, one on each side of it, that are going to link in. I want those to be parallel, not just to each other, but to that center line, and I want them to be symmetrical around that center guide. I'm going to give them a dimension by hitting the D4 dimension tool and saying it is 2 millimeters thick. And that looks quite good. I want to mirror that. First, we will mirror our curves across this line. Second, we will mirror our lines across it. And you can see where we are going with this. Now, I want to draw a curve from the midpoint to the midpoint. And again, I will draw a curve from the midpoint to the midpoint. No, I will draw it from above the midpoint to above the midpoint. Very good. Now, I am going to give this a dimension here. This curve is going to be 20 millimeters radius. This curve here is going to be 18 millimeters radius. It's also going to be, at some point, I am going to get this right. I have a little diagram from when I did this last time, and I'm going to say that is going to be 2 millimeters across. I'm going to drag that back, give a dimension on the other side, also of 2 millimeters. And I am going to flatten the curve, just like it is a virus. I will make that concentric, and they will follow on at 2 millimeters. I don't need to actually give the inside dimension. I have the inside dimension on some of the diagrams, but I don't think I need it. All right, so I think we now have all we need to create this little pattern. It's a very simple pattern. It shouldn't take you very long to draw it. First, I'm going to put in these two curves, and those are going to go distance to object, the bottom. I need to pick the bottom, right? Error because I picked the whole box, not the bottom. And I will say new component. I'll turn that sketch back on because it disappeared on us. And open up this bodies folder and make the grid itself into a component as well, just to make things a bit easier to manipulate. I'm going to pick the other curve. I'm going to go to object, scroll down to the bottom again, and pick that bottom face. Say new component. And we will do that a third time, and I will do both these sides. New component. To object, as they say, practice makes perfect, and hit OK. Now, we have those all as individual components. That's not going to be very useful for mirroring them. So I'm going to open up these three bodies and show you. I will just combine these three into one component. I'm going to take the two extra components and remove them. Some people like to have them as separate components. Some people like to put them all in one, but I think that works out quite well this way. So I'm going to take our, I'm going to have to mirror, but first I need to create a plane to mirror them on. So I'm going to pick the inside edge of our frame. I'm going to go around and I'm going to pick the inside edge of this other side of our frame and create a mirror line. You can see where that's going to mirror now. And I will pick these bodies, not the components. I want the bodies. 1, 2, 3. And I will mirror them across that mirrored plane and say new body. Now, I am going to take all those pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can see they're in this component 1. and I'm going to mirror them across the center line. I'm going to do the same thing with these bodies again, and mirror them across this other center line. And what you can see is we have this floral geometric pattern. There are several different ways that you can do this pattern in Kumiko, and I think this is one of the nicer ones. I'll turn off those construction lines so you can see it more clearly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into that sketch, and I'm going to show you a few different ways you can modify this. Remember, we can always modify these things after the fact. So if I look at this, I can say that I want these to be more or less pronounced. If I take this measurement and I make it 55 instead of 75, I will make a much more aggressive curve, and those pieces will become quite a bit shallower. In much the same way, if I make this 12 instead of 20, say we'll make it 15, I can make this curve much, much deeper, and it will curve further in. If I say finish sketch now, what you'll see is I have a much, much more curvy looking design. So the thing to keep in mind when you are making these Kumiko patterns is when you make a change, it's not changing the actual pattern, it's just changing your particular variation on it. And when you see things like the hemp leaf and the plum and the cherry blossom, sakura, umi, etc., etc., you will be able to change them without changing the traditional shape, because there is no standard arc. There is no standard measurement of the angles on those. I think this looks better with a more flat curve, but I do like the more flattened out, curvy sections on the middle that almost look like an inverted sigma curve. Anyway, that is the last of the patterns that we're going to be doing for the moment. There are so many patterns that are available in Kumiko. I'm not sure which ones you would like to see me actually model, so please leave a comment down below to tell me which ones you would like. If you want to see the standard ones like the plum and the cherry blossom, or if you would like to see some more of these modernized ones with the curves or the inset squares like we've done over the last few live classes. So that has just been a quick way of showing you how to do a simple design in Kumiko and make the grid pattern for it. What we can do is we can turn that into a decorative frame. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go back to one of our original patterns here. We're going to make this 27, because I really don't like that aggressive curve. And I am going to show you one more step that we can do here. I'll close this down, and I am going to model on this bottom face. I'm going to hit P for project and project this outside frame. We will take our frame and we will draw a center point rectangle that goes out as far as the outside of our frame. We will make the two pieces equal, and we are going to set the dimension of that outside piece to be exactly 14 millimeters. Now, if I take that piece and I extrude it up, I'm going to extrude it 10 millimeters and say new component. I'm now going to go back down to the bottom, turn my sketch on. I don't need to edit it, I just want to turn it back on so I can see it. And I am going to model the bottom and the bottom piece. I'll just select them all. I'll turn off these components, and I will select the entire model. Then I am going to say distance -3, and that is going to be our bottom pattern. Turn them all back on, and you can see that I have created a nice little frame. I will turn off this sketch. I will say A for appearance, and I am going to change that frame to be modeled as mahogany, mostly because I just want to be able to see it in brown, because it will give us a contrast for our inset pieces, which I am going to change to be ash. And now you can see that with just using 2 different colors, I can make that pop right from the outside. If you want to get more creative, you can go down and you can use an ebonized version on just the outside panel, and what you see is what I call the linked butterfly pattern. And that's that. You have a decorative Kumiko frame, and you are welcome to use this. You're welcome to download the model if that is what you like. Just send an email letting us know that you would like to have access to the model, and you can use it free of charge, much like these classes, which are and will always be free to you to watch, live streams and recorded classes on this channel. We also offer individual tuition, of course, for you if you want to take your Fusion 360 journey further, or just take your design for furniture and modeling any further. Thank you so much for joining us today here on the live stream class. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things that give us more views on YouTube and cost the viewer you nothing. So thanks for your eyes, your time, your patience, and your willingness to put up with my ramblings as we do live classes on a regular basis. Feel free to come back next time and have fun modeling and designing in your shop today. Bye-bye.